Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Dagmoy Babi podcast. Today is going to be a very fun conversation for everyone because we have Cameron here. I'm very excited to have this conversation because I've been looking so forward to it. There's a lot that I want to know. Cameron is very kind enough to come on my show and talk to me about all these questions and share his experiences and so much more. I can't wait for you guys to enjoy it all and to see everything. So, welcome, Cameron, to the show.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate you having me.
Awesome. So let's just start with basic introductions. Can you introduce yourself to me and to everyone listening?
It's always funny, like, how do I want to answer this? So I'm Cam Pack. I am 27 right now, married, have he's almost 1.5, a baby boy, 1.5 years old. His name's Bennett. And such a sweetheart. He makes things super fun. Even like, there's lots of people that are like, yeah, when you have kids, your life ends. It's like, no, life is so much more fun with kids. So I'm a father, I'm a husband, a follower of Jesus. I love the Lord, and that influences kind of what I do in my life. And my hobbies is technology. I really enjoy tech, web development, things. It's like, what can you dream up? What dream, idea, vision has God given you? And sometimes the cool thing is that can translate to something that you can create with technology. So in my day job, I work at a company called Techless, and we create a healthy smartphone. And really what it is it's the in-between of a dumb phone with no apps or a few apps, and between that and a smartphone with all the apps. So just imagine you get the in-between, a healthy in-between of like, here's some apps that are good. Maybe you want to take a ride somewhere, so you get Uber. Maybe you want your Bible app, so then your Bible app. Things like that to help you have a better relationship with technology, because technology is not going away anywhere. So the answer isn't always just turning everything off or like having no apps, because then you're going to be kind of left out. And we're trying to find a happy medium. So that's what I do at my day job. It's Techless, called WisePhone.
Wow. Okay.
And then for fun, I get to create Faith.Tools. And Faith.Tools is the largest directory of Christian apps. And it's meant to be a place where you could come in with your need and say, man, I really want to grow in prayer. Like, I'm inspired. I want to grow in prayer. And then you can find an app that can help you with that practice or connect you with the right people for that practice. And that's why Faith.Tools was created, really just to empower Christians like you and I. Yeah.
Awesome. I've been a big fan of the Faith.Tools website. I think a lot of Christians know it here. So yeah, I'm really excited about that. All right. So let's just go way back and let's talk about your childhood. What kind of kid were you? Like, were you super spiritual? Were you like that kid who's like, going to church every single day? Or were you like very techie? Did you code all the time? Tell me about that.
That's funny. No, man, never really even coded till college. When I was growing up, I have siblings. I'm one of 5, so I'm right in the middle. So there's 2 older brothers and then a younger sister and then a younger brother. And we all pretty close in age. We loved games, but every one of us was kind of just different. Mine was the more like quiet, processing lots of things. Contemplative, maybe it's a better word. And then, we played games, we played computers, we tried to make YouTube videos and stuff. We weren't good at that, but no, we didn't even code. I didn't even code till college. And my brother, Alex, he's my older brother. We were doing a little bit of coding in college. He switched majors, and then eventually he just wanted to code again. I was like, let's do it. So we took some time to meet up and have little challenges and things. And now he's working at a programming job, making far more than me, which is amazing because he's super smart. He just needed the discipline and the direction to get there. And now he's there. But code was just not in my radar at all until way later on.
Okay.
We grew up in church. My parents were split. So when they divorced, I was young. I had to been like 6 or 4 or something. I was really young. But when we moved back in with my dad and my stepmom, that's when we started going to church. And so it's kind of like, there's no option. You have to go to church. So there's times I hated it, but then eventually I liked it because my friends were there. And then the messages were starting to make sense. And yeah, over time, it started to resonate from just being something in my head to something in my heart. And that was freeing. And I can dig more into that over time.
I guess you discovered programming in college and everything. I guess what was like the first programming language that you experiment with, and what did you build with that?
I think it was just like beginner programming, and I think it was Java. And all they were trying to get us to do was to print out in the console like different shapes. Like imagine like a pyramid or like a diamond. Mm-hmm. I don't know why that was so hard for me. I just remember like going out and it's like 1 a.m. I'm sitting in the dorms and I'm just out in the hallway because my roommate's asleep, and I'm like, I need to figure this out. I need to finish this. And I'm just sitting in the hallway for like hours trying to figure it out. And eventually I figured it out. But my mind did not really work in the programming world for a while. Like it was just, eventually it clicks, and I don't know what it takes to get it to click. It just does. But yeah, we were doing Java. And then eventually it turned to C++. I'm like, man, what are we learning? What is all this archaic stuff?
I guess, what do you think about those languages now, like Java and C++? Do you even use them right now?
I don't. I'm primarily JavaScript. Yeah, I just say like use what works for the job. Depends on what you're needing, and find something that works and just use it. And yeah, it doesn't have to be super flashy. That's the problem with like JavaScript community, is they want like, there's always something new, which is exciting, but it's also like, it's hard to be content in JavaScript world.
I don't know if you're comfortable talking about this, but obviously there are other people whose parents are separated and that are way younger than you. And you going through that, I feel like is, I guess, a good testimony for people. There are people that look up to you and like that are extremely excited for this conversation. So if there's anything that you can, advise or shed some light on this, if you're comfortable about it, that is, it'd be awesome.
Yeah, I'm an open book. Yeah, it's, growing up with divorced parents, you're just like, it's weird of like, why aren't they together? My mom, she's sweet, but she painted kind of a picture, at least when I was young, of like, my dad wasn't a good person. And so then it was hard to trust my dad, because we would kind of like go back and forth in visiting. And then my mom eventually took us to Washington State for a couple of years, where my dad didn't know where we were. So this is where phones weren't like, it wasn't easy to know where people are at. And internet wasn't everywhere. Like you didn't have tracking available everywhere. So my dad wondered where we were for a couple of years, and that was incredibly hard for him. And then we get reunited with him, and it's hard for us to reconcile, like, who is this guy? Is he all that mom was saying? And so split parents is hard because you just have all these questions of why. And yeah, and then you have to balance between, you do extra things when you have split parents. You have to go to different holidays and things. You have to do what you can to make sure you can be present with the other parent. My mom lived states away, so it was a little easier because it wasn't like we were just going back and forth all the time. But yeah, what I battled with on the inside was, am I enough? Like, am I enough to be loved? Why doesn't my mom move back to where we're at? Why doesn't she move to Oklahoma? And so there's these questions that you may never get an answer to of why didn't mom move back, and she can say what she says, but then it's like, it's sweet to over time find like a church family, to find like friends that are like brothers, and to realize like, okay, I am loved, and it doesn't, like, I can't control someone else's actions or their reactions, but um, the hole that was like burning inside of me of, yeah, why isn't mom home? Like, does my dad and stepmom love me? And they did, but my dad is full Korean, so he has that a little bit of like strictness that is known for being an Asian parent. I'm not going to say a little bit, he was strict. And so then you face that. And that's why I think it was just sweet when I moved up to college, just had some great people want to be my friend and pour into me and read the Bible with me and show me like, this is a display of what God's love looks like. And God's love is unconditional. And so then I don't have to ask the question of, am I enough? And I don't have to worry about, just being worthy just to be present kind of thing. Like, if God created, this is what what people, I don't remember who said this, but it's like, if God created you, he created you for a reason. And there's probably other people who are listening to this wondering like, okay, does God care about me? And he absolutely does. He created you and he loves you. And you may not feel it now, but he is pursuing you.
That was a very deep answer, and it's very sweet. And I'm glad you became, you passed through it in a really good way, and you've learned the lessons through it. And I'm very happy that you saw the goodness of God through that. So yeah, thank you for that. I guess while in the topic of family and Christianity and the whole thing, can you tell me, like, was there a moment when you're like, that clicked for you? Like, is there like a testimony story or something that's like, okay, from this year on, I'm going to fully focus on this? Are there any stories like that for you?
When I was like 12, that's when I said, when the message, I think I was 12, maybe. Yeah, I think I was 12. The message finally would make sense that they preach at church. And I was in the youth group, and the funny thing about where I grew up and went to church, it's like, when you say I want to dedicate my life to Jesus, you go to the front and you tell a pastor, and it's like everyone's staring at you, and it's so awkward feeling. Growing up, just most of my life dealt with a lot of social anxiety. I didn't know I did. I thought everybody did, but so it was hard to do that. So I waited a few weeks before I actually went up. So yeah, I prayed and said, Lord, I believe in you. But I was so afraid to go up and tell people that, like, not to tell that I believed, but just like everyone would be staring. And so it took a little bit of time to do that. But that was like when I said I want to believe, and there was a change. I could feel it. But I also, there's a time where you believe and you say, I commit. There's many times where you say, I commit. Like I'm focused, I'm on my faith. But there's time to say, I believe in you, Jesus, in my heart, and I follow you. And then there's a time to learn, like, what does it look like to follow? And I didn't really learn how to read the Bible till like college. Didn't really learn how to pray much until like college, and which was cool because it's like, wow, like that's what this says. Like, I always heard this at church, but that's what this says over here. And it's like interesting how Jesus would respond to people who were sinners. He would come up to them with compassion and see their deeper need that they have and meet that deeper need. So it wasn't till college age that I was getting taught, like discipled into how to follow Jesus and learn the ways of him. And I mean, there's still plenty to learn, but it's like, it wasn't that until I started finding freedom. Because in the past, it was just like, it felt like, okay, I believe, now I have to act good. Now I have to act like everything's okay. And it's like, it's not okay. Things weren't great. And it was cool that that's not what Jesus expects. He doesn't expect you to just act good. We need him because we can't just be good on our own. And so it was cool to see his gentleness and the reality of why Jesus would even need to come. What's the point of him coming? And the point is because, like, we cannot save ourselves. And he's the only one who is sinless and who is truly, truly good. And then he rewires our hearts and minds to be good and to, like, it's like, all I can see is the benefit of, you get life. Jesus offers life and life abundantly, and you get full, like, life where that void that you had and that hurt is filled, and it doesn't hurt. So yeah, I often, thank you. Yeah, I often just say, like, take time to just say, Lord, I surrender to you, because it's a daily thing. It's a daily, like, I can get distracted easily. Even with code, I love code. I could just, like, get so distracted and get my eyes off the prize. And, but then I remember, oh, I'm a father. I need to be present with my son. I'm a husband. I need to be present with my wife. Things like that. And it's like, okay, just every day is like a chance to say, I commit, I surrender. And it's good to do that.
That was a really good advice. That was very deep. All right, so you're married, you have a child. I guess talk to me about that experience. You know, the whole marriage or starting a family. Like, you brushed on it earlier on, but, like, you know, what is it like? What does it teach you? And especially, of course, connected to Christianity and everything.
To being a husband, I met my wife in college. We were resident assistants, so we were, like, in charge of a hallway and helping people in the community at the college feel welcomed and resourced with the things that they need. And so I got to meet my wife, Hannah, there, and she was, she was just so full of joy. You meet her, you're like, wow, like what's different about you? And she'll tell you Jesus, and it was really, really sweet to see. So I could see she had freedom. I wouldn't have used the word at the time, and I didn't have that much freedom, even though I was a believer. And that was so intriguing and, like, captivating to me. And then we became friends, and then we liked each other. It's not like I was looking to find her. She just was there. In the midst of doing meaningful things, I met her. And that was really cool, that it wasn't like I don't know, you kind of think, oh, like, if you're single, you're looking for who's the one I'm going to marry. Or at least that's kind of how it was for culture here. And everyone's just so obsessed with dating and finding the one. It's annoying. And it's heartbreaking, because it's like, oh, is this person the one? Oh, is this person the one? Is this person the one? And it's just so distracting when God is kind and brought Hannah at the right time. So that was sweet, because I started learning, like, oh, I have anxiety. I didn't know I had anxiety. And because she said, you have anxiety, Cameron. I was like, I don't have anxiety. But I did. And it was pretty intense. And she didn't have anxiety. And it was like, oh, so I started just to see like a level of freedom that I've never seen. And she was showing me that it was possible and that God allows that and wants that. And that was sweet. So yeah, eventually just time went on and, it wasn't like, it's not smooth sailing for any relationship, but it was sweet. And yeah, after college, we married, and that was maybe almost 6 years ago. Yeah, and then we started our full-time jobs after college, and that's when I started working at Life Church, and then eventually YouVersion, and my wife was working at Life Church, and that was sweet. And then when it came to like baby, man, I had health issues, so it was just hard to know like when would we have a kid. So I have like some chronic health stuff that we didn't know if I would be able to be present much or just like in pain. And yeah, God was sweet. It's kind of fun. We were like watching these twins. So we signed up to like pretty much like babysit for months and months these kids, and it was so that they didn't have to go into the government system for kids, which is foster care. And we didn't want them. We tried to help the parents so that the kids didn't go into foster care. They were twins. They were 18 months old. They were boys, and man, they were fun. They were wild. And when we got them, like right when we got them, is when we learned that Hannah was pregnant. So it was so sweet. And watching those kids and learning and all the things. It only was 1 month, but it felt like the longest month ever. But it showed us how much we loved kiddos. And then, yeah, 9 months later, we had baby Bennett, sweet baby boy. And now it's been a year and a half since then. And like, yeah, okay, think about this. He's a baby. He wakes up early. It's like, but when he was baby, he would just like wake up early and I would just need to rock him. Well, then I'm awake. What do I do? I could pick up the computer and start creating some things because I'd have ideas. And over time, like there's more to the story because there was lots of anxiety, lots of stress, lots of pain with physical body stuff. But like before Bennett, pretty close to before Bennett came, a lot of that, let me try to make sure. Yeah, I think, yeah, a lot of that kind of subsided and the anxiety was lessened. I believe God like taught me more about identity and freedom. And that helped me heal on the inside. And then my body began to heal on the outside. And that's like with dietary changes, there's probably some spiritual piece of God just healing parts of my body. And now I'm able to code again and to create. And so now I have energy for my son and I could play with him and be present. And that's like such a gift. But yeah, I would recommend to people like if they're waiting, holding out on kids and they're married and they're like, no, I want to live life before I have kids. Like kids make life so much fun. They do have their complexities because they're kids, but I love being a dad.
That's a wonderful story. And I'm really glad that, everything worked out and you're completely fine now. I really hope your family blossoms into something even more beautiful and, just so joyful overall. Thank you for sharing that part of your life and your story. We can now move on to Christians in technology. It's one of those topics that really interests me. And I talk to all these people in Silicon Valley. I have a bunch of friends out there. And even here, the tech community isn't as spiritual in some ways and is often frowned upon if you are like, a Christian or you share your faith. It's like, hey, you're a technology person. You're supposed to be the most advanced, smartest kid person there is. And You talking about, you know, things we cannot see and faith, you just trusting this invisible being, and all of that is just a really odd thing to do. So I decided to focus on my faith almost 2 years ago, and I've been a coder all my life. I've been building a bunch of projects, sharing them, people like it and they share it around and all sorts of stuff. But once I really decided to be close to God, I wanted to share that part of my life even more, because it became the most important thing for me. And seeing that, I noticed that other people don't do this. In fact, they're very rare to actually include Christianity and faith into tech related things. So you are like a gem for me, to be honest, because I don't know anyone abroad that's like, you know, a Christian that's also in tech and that's like building these faith tools and a bunch of things. Talk to me about your experience of these things.
When you think of programming, you think of computers, you think of, smart people. Oftentimes it's like science-based. I want evidence, I want proof, I want, all these things that is, it gets to the point. It's like, if there's faith, then no. But then I'm starting to see a shift in tech and just people in general of like, maybe there is like, maybe there has to be some God. Or like, I'm seeing a shift. I don't really know. It's just that I see a shift of more and more people being willing to talk about religion and Christianity, and people who may have not been willing in the past to talk about it. And then people are just more receptive to it. And they see, like, some people are just seeing, like, it's kind of weird that there's lots of opposition to Christianity specifically and not to other religions. And like, oh, if you're Muslim, fine. If you're Hindu, fine, or whatever. It's like, but if you're Christian, there's some opposition, but I'm starting to see like people just say, no, I want to talk about this faith that I have. It's just been so common growing up of separation of like church and state, separation of like what you do from who you are. And I think people are just like, this is not fun. Because think about this, you're building, let's say you're working in Silicon Valley. There's many great places in Silicon Valley, but let's say you're working and you're just you're creating, you're hustling, but the end goal is just to make money for somebody. And it's not to help anybody really. It's like, what's the point? I think people are really getting to a point where they just want like purposefulness, something to feel like I'm doing something that matters. And that's why it's funny when you see like solo entrepreneurs who are indie hackers and they're creating and they're like constantly showing all these new things. And it's, no matter what, we're going to be like, our eyes, our heart, our attention will worship someone or something. And if that thing can give us validation, that thing can also take away the validation. So if the thing gives us validation and it's like something that we've created and we feel good about it, when people praise, well, when people don't praise, you're going to feel bad about it and you're going to feel bad about yourself. And that's up and down and up and down and up and down. But then maybe they start to learn of like, interesting. If I ever needed somebody to lean onto, there's this guy who says they believe in Jesus, and they're like, they would always be the person that I could call at 2 a.m. if I needed help or something. And they're starting just to see like, maybe there is some validity to hope and to this Jesus guy. I don't know. I feel like now and more, you just keep like, people are willing to talk about their faith. And so it's really cool. Now, when it comes to like tech and faith, you have people, I see two things. You have people who are like, in my private life, I'm a follower of Jesus, and in my work, I code. and they're trying to reconcile, how do I live out faith in work, also without getting fired? And those are like, that's one section. And then you have another section that's like, I'm not trying to reconcile how do I work with God and to live out my faith where I work. And they have learned to lean on God. They've learned to create, and when they run into problems, like, say, Lord, how can I figure this out? And they listen. He puts something on their mind and heart, whether it's an answer or an idea to go talk to a person. And it's just a different way of like, it doesn't have to be super loud. It doesn't have to be super like, what is the right word? Like evangelist at your work everywhere. But Jesus says, you will know my people by the way that they love one another. And these are people who know how to love one another. And what I've been focused on is, I do care about the people who are reconciling. How do I live out my faith at work? I think that's very important. I think that's meaningful. I think God can help you find meaning in whatever job you're doing when you're learning to work with him. And on the other token is, I just love those who are like, no, I have reconciled and learned how to live my faith in every circumstance. And I want to create things that help people who are believers so that they can, I don't know, fully live out what God has called them to do. Really things that would equip believers. That's the area of people that I feel called to love on and care for. And that's why I would create something like Faith.Tools or Freedom Stack but yeah, there's more and more of a reception now to people want truth. And Jesus is truth.
That's a really good response. Now let's talk about the things you built out. Let's just go one by one on the major ones, and then let's talk about them. So the first and the most popular one that I would assume is Faith.Tools. It's one of the biggest collections of faith-related tools. And talk to me, when did you start it? Why did you start it? What was the aim of all of these things?
The aim is equip people, equip them with the tools that they need. So somebody, let's say, wants to grow in scripture memory and they don't know how to do it. Well, what's cool is there's an app that can help facilitate teaching you how to think in that way and how to memorize scripture. I created it in March. Let me see. I think it was March. I could be wrong on the date now. I think it was March 10th, 2024. So just last year. And the idea was there's lots of really cool things people are creating. You go and search if you went on Google at the time, you search new Christian apps or apps for believers, you start to see they're all the same kind of apps. It's all the same 10. And you go in the App Store and there's surprisingly some apps that are Bible apps just filled with ads that it's is this a cash grab? Are they trying to just make money? Is this something that isn't actually helpful for the body of the Church of Christ? So what I wanted to showcase was there's people out there who are creating things that are beautiful and that are really helpful. And there's this kind of rhetoric or this idea that Christians create things that are generic and they don't look that good. And to some extent, that's very true. And then to another extent, it's, well, if the Spirit of God works in and through us, and he is the creative genius who created who can create the most beautiful of things, then so can we when we partner with him to create beautiful things. And yeah, you hear in the past the church has led the way with design, with knowledge, with things like, and it felt like for a long time the church wasn't leading the way. And now I'm starting to see like the church leading the way in different ways, and like in some ways in technology, in some ways in the music industry, in the film industry. And it's like, good. Like, I don't know why Christian things look generic for so long, but yeah, the story of Faith.Tools is I was building things and I was like, where do I put this? If it's not an app, it doesn't go in the app store, then where do I place this? And I'm trying to, it was that. And also like, I'm finding so many cool people who are building, who are believers, who are creating some cool things. And where does that go? Like, or how do people find them? They were scattered, and I want to find a way to bring things together and make a simple, easy place for people to find the tools that they need in the community, that they need in the faith and tech space.
How did it become big? Did you do any marketing? Like, did it just casually take off?
When I released it, at least the first piece of it, I released, it was really, at first, it was just a page that said what the idea of this was. And so let's just imagine best place to find apps for Christians, as well as those who create these apps. And then it was like, you can submit an app, and then you could submit yourself to say, hey, I'm a Christian creative. So it pivoted a little bit since the very beginning. However, it was very simple. I tweeted about it. Some people who had larger followings retweeted it. And I think that's kind of what gained it some traction. But I think really what did well was SEO. I think SEO did really well because it's just showing up on Google. And it was a little bit of hard work to make that, to improve it as much as I could. But the thing is, like, what I've seen, I could be wrong, but what I've seen is Google will prop up what you're doing and showcase it on the search results, given you're creating content or showcasing content that not everybody else is already doing. So for some reason, people weren't creating, like, there's just not many Christian app stores or Christian directories of faith-based apps that's regularly updated. And I don't know why, but I'm happy to be able to help in that way. Sometimes you just wait and say, I want somebody to do this. I want somebody to do this. And then nobody does it. So it's like, maybe I'm supposed to do it. And so just go and build things. There's a time to learn and there's a time to build. And so I just went and built it and built pretty quickly most of the same functionality from March. Let's say May, is the same kind of today. And Faith.Tools now gets, I think right now, like 28,000 views per month. Or at least this month. It's normally like 20,000 views a month or 25,000. So yeah, we're at 29,467 page views in the last 30 days, which is really cool. I attribute that for right now because it being January, but that is, it's sweet, and it showcases there are people who are looking for these types of resources. Like, they really do want to grow their faith.
How many apps are registered there?
About 525. It's a little more than that, but 525.
All right. What stack was it built on?
It's an Astro Web framework. And then I'm using that plus Tailwind plus Daisy UI for like visuals. For interactivity, I use something called Alpine.js, which is, it makes it where you can make things interactive, kind of like how you do with React, but you do it just in the attributes of the DOM elements. So you do it, if you have a button, you just say on the attribute @click equals this function. And then you can define that little function inside of the parent element above. It's weird, but it works. And it's really, really, really simple. And I came from working in React for years and years. And it's like, I wanted something simpler. Then it also uses HTMX. I'm not going to expound on HTMX besides it is a meme to some, and it is really cool to others. Yeah. And the back end of what I use for like database is just base row. Base row is a low code, no code tool. And they just have such a generous free tier that I was like, I'm just going to use them as the database. And so far, so good. It's like, that's like an open source Airtable kind of app. And yeah, Faith.Tools has just done well, and it surprised me. I've never really made things that got like big, at least for like fun projects. And this one is it. I still see it in its infancy. There's so many cool things that's possible, but it's built in spare time because I have a day job, and yeah, I just love getting to build it, getting to work on it.
All right. Is the project like fully open sourced?
Astro or the Faith.Tools is not open source, which there's not any real reason not to open source it. So I can. I just need to do it. There's some other tools and things that I've created that is open source. There's the Freedom Stack. Freedom Stack is an Astro-based starter kit, which has all the things that I mentioned without base row. So Freedom Stack was eventually what came out of me creating things because I just wanted an opinionated starter kit that was easy to build things. So there's a few, like there's one that's really like a web app that's great where you can showcase what you're creating and then create posts on it and then updates, and then you can send those to your users and stuff. You can get email leads. It's pretty much like how do I showcase what I'm building in progress? And that's called Kit, K-I-T, which means keep in touch. And that's open source. I've open sourced Freedom Stack, and there's a few other open source projects. I don't have them off the top of my head, but open source is beautiful because then someone's like, hey, I have a bug in this. Like, cool. If you have the coding abilities, are you willing to help, to contribute? And it's really cool when someone does help and contribute because you're like, yay, it's not just me.
Exactly. I feel like if Faith.Tools is like open sourced, I feel like there's going to be a lot of contributions to it. I think the Christian community would probably do a lot of contributions, even from here. I'm pretty sure it's even crazier on your side. So yeah, maybe consider it. I guess while on the topic of Faith.Tools, let's say someone has like a tool, a Faith tool that they want to, list on your site and get it registered and everything. Can you walk me through like how to do that?
Yep. You go to Faith.Tools, and yeah, you don't even have to scroll. There's like a submit an app button, and you can click it and fill out a form. In the form, there's also like a link to the selection criteria for the app. So there's selection criteria, and it's mainly this isn't just a directory for anything. It's for apps for Christians. And to keep it focused, there's selection criteria. There's even a little bit more criteria around AI apps to be AI apps. You have to be very careful because a lot of them, if it's like a Bible app or like a Bible chat app, it is speaking on behalf of the Bible. So it has to be accurate. Otherwise it could lead people astray. And that would be something that I would feel responsible for because I put it on the site. So there's selection criteria. You can go look at it, and then you just submit it, and you can wait a few days. Sometimes it'll take a couple weeks because I'm just doing things, and then I will get it live on the site, and then you have a page. So for each listing, you get your own page And then it'll also be listed on every category that it's actually part of that app. So you can list up to 5 categories, and get the app out there and showcase it. And it's pretty simple, and I will keep you posted on when it's been added. The cool thing is, I built Kit, which is Keep in Touch, and that was allowing you to showcase in progress stuff. Eventually, I'm just going to merge in the stuff that I use to create Kit into Faith.Tools. So creators like yourself can just log in, add the stuff, submit it, see the status of where your stuff's at, and then boom. Then it's live on Faith.Tools. And then you can also post your updates of, hey, like a newsletter. Here's this new update. I would love for you guys to try it out. And then boom, it's in the hands of those people. So it's a really cool way to bridge the gap between creator and then the people who are going to be using the apps.
I'm a big fan of Faith.Tools, and I wanted to grow and expand and I guess get all the best sites and tools and apps there are. I guess as a final note though, what does the evaluation criteria look like? How do you make sure they're good? How do you make sure that they're safe and all of these things?
So you can go to go.faith.tools/criteria. So you want an app or tool on Faith.Tools. Faith.Tools supports multiple types of apps. So you can do web app, desktop app, mobile app. It could be a digital service, like a software as a service. It could be an AI tool. It can even be a physical product, because and the phone that I help work on is a phone that helps you be less distracted and be more present. And that's something that can help out Christians a lot. So one of the things that people are wondering is, does it have to be created by Christians? Not exactly. It could be created a tool, but that Christians use. It is helpful for them in their faith in some way, shape, or form. And the creators are not against Christianity. So the creators of the app are not against God. So if that's the case, then it can be something that we list on here, and it is, and we would recommend it. So there's a couple questions. Is it beneficial to a Christian's walk with God and community? So then there's a little more text underneath if you want to go, for anyone that wants to go see it. Second question, does it solve a problem that many Christians experience? Third question, is it maintained and regularly updated? The only exception is you create an app that's so simple and so focused that it doesn't really need updates. 4, is it designed modern and approachable? For that one, it's if you have an app and it's really just ugly, which that is very possible. Even when I look at my first apps and things that I've worked on, they were ugly. It's sometimes hard for someone to, one, trust it, but to also feel I don't know, when you see something done in an excellent way, design doesn't have to be super crazy, super wild. It can be so simple, so minimal. And when it's like that, it's approachable. And then people use it. Sometimes if things don't look good, people just leave the app and don't come back. I've gotten a little lighter on that one because I know people are learning, and I don't want to discourage people, because that one's not a disqualifying factor. 5, is it safeguarded from illicit or adult content that could be a harmful temptation? I don't want it to be something that can cause somebody to trip. 6, if it costs to use the tool or service, then is that very clear? I don't want someone to feel you can use this service, but you have to pay this much, and they didn't even know how much they're paying, and they're just losing money. 7, are the creators of it friendly towards Christians, and or do they profess faith in Jesus Christ? I think that's very helpful to promote things of people that are not against Jesus. 8, does it serve more than just a single church? Because if it's just your church's app and it's just for your church, it doesn't need to go on here. And then 9, does it align with the teachings in the Bible and align with the Christian doctrine? And so I have a couple links and things. And then I have one note on AI tools. We've seen a rise in artificial intelligence tools, AI tools that speak on behalf of the Bible, a person in the Bible, or on behalf of Christianity. The responses must be biblically accurate and aligned with the teachings of the Bible. AI tools need to be properly trained in order to stay focused and not veer away from speaking the truth of the Word of God. It seems like a lot of criteria, but if you're creating it from the right heart and right mind, like, you're going to meet most, if not all, of these criteria. And to create a directory, you need it to be focused. To create a directory that people trust and feel like it's not a gimmick, you have to have criteria. You have to have boundaries. You have to have rules. And rules can be a good thing.
I agree. That's a wonderful response. A very wonderful one. I wish all the good things happen to Faith.Tools, and I hope it expands. Maybe even include podcasts in someday in the future.
That'd be cool. Faith.Tools, the heart, the mission is empower and connect Christians in tech to fulfill the Great Commission, or to do their part for the Great Commission. So it would be, I want to resource and bring resources together for Christians in tech, people who want to build. And so podcasts like this would be great just to have.
Exactly, yeah.
So it's not a far away idea.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. So another project that you built for the church is the Melos.church project. All right, so it's like instead of me explaining it, I think it's better if you just tell us about it, why you started it, when you started it, and how it works.
The easiest way to think about this is if you look at like Linktree or like a link in bio kind of website, it's like that, but for the church, specifically for the church. So all you need to do is log in, put in information about your church, and you have a website for your church. You don't have to drag and drop where things go. You don't have to worry about like how to make things look pretty. You can just spend a couple minutes, put your information in, and boom, you have a website. And you can link people out to other things. So it's not a tool that does everything. It's actually a tool that is a central place for you to meet digitally so that you can give them the resources that they need. For example, if you do your giving with Tidely or another company, you just send a link, you put a link for your giving link. If you host your sermon somewhere like YouTube, you just link out to your YouTube for your sermons. And you can link all your social medias. It's very much like a link tree for churches. It can replace a church website, or it can be a church website. It can also just be a helper to a church website. Sometimes people have church websites that are so big, so many pieces of information. And it's like, I just want to know when I go to church, when the services are, and how to access like maybe message notes or something. So that's what Melos, Melos stands for many members of one body. So the idea of this tool is to bring the members of one body together digitally so that they can have the resources that they need for that church community. It's a fun little project. It was the first project that I created that was like outwardly given. I guess here's what I'll say. First, software as a service. And this was coming right out of sickness. I had worked on something kind of like it before because a church wanted a website. The reason why this was even created because a church wanted a website. I tried to figure out how to make a website for them. And then I was like, can I just like template this? Because if I can make it a template, then when other people ask about a church website, I don't have to build it for them. And partly lazy, but partly like cool idea. And so I just worked on I got sick for like 7 months. I couldn't work. I wasn't coding. I was nauseous. I was dizzy. I was laying on the couch a lot because my body just was hurting. Eventually, God began to heal my inner being from like just learning about God is enough for today, learning about contentment, learning about identity. So he healed me on the inside, and then eventually my physical body began to feel better. And I just started having ideas. I couldn't stop thinking about code and felt like he was pointing me back to code. So one of those ideas was the Melos project. And I had like a version 1 that was so bad that I didn't even show it to anybody. And this one's version 2. And yeah, it's received good reception. It's a pretty small project still. I kind of just let it exist. I put a lot more time and energy into things like Faith.Tools and Freedom Stack on the side, but it still has potential. If I had more time for it, there's things that I would do that could help the church in ways that that allows you to use these other great tools and apps from like what people would see as competitors, that allows you to link them in or integrate them. But then also just finding some extra pieces where Melos can stand out and be a help. But Melos is completely free if anyone wants to use it. It's melos.church, and you can have a church website in a matter of minutes.
Awesome. That's pretty exciting. I guess, what tech stack is it built on?
Astro, Alpine, HTMX, Daisy UI.
You build these tools with the same stack all the time, don't you?
Pretty much. Yeah. I hit some walls of like trying to figure out some things I just don't know. So I have to learn. But Freedom Stack is getting close.
That's pretty awesome, man. Tools for the church is really good. And there's actually one phrase that I'm very focused on from what you said. And it's about, God drawing you into code. And I pretty much relate to it. So like I said, I started focusing on my faith almost 2 years ago and everything. So I thought maybe I should stop, coding. Maybe my calling is something else, like maybe I should just focus on serving in the church or some other activity or whatever. But turns out, nah, like he keeps on pushing me, and whatever thing I built through code, he keeps on blessing. And I'm like, then there's something going on here. And for me personally, when I first got introduced to programming and coding, I was in a very, maybe not advanced city back then. So there wasn't internet or resources. In fact, there was basically no one at all that could teach me programming. So like when I learned it, it was just one book, and I would get stuck. And the moment I get stuck, I would feel like there was this other person beside me, and then like teaching me and helping me with it. And it's like in my head, because if you asked me back then why I did the things I did or how I solved certain things, I would have no response for you, So I always, whenever I go out to events or public speaking or whatever, I'm like, God really taught me how to program. So he does have this intention of building his own software engineering, technology related people, He wants those people, he wants to guide them, because the world is eventually being very digital, very technological, and he wants his people in charge and also leading and managing it all. So yeah, if you have any insights on this too, that'd be good.
I love to hear that from you. And yeah, God is kind. I used to joke like the best programmer in the world is God. His code, his language is DNA.
That's literally what I say.
Yeah. And he likes to, I don't know, it's just, he can think in ways where, his ways are higher than our ways. So I often like to think, because like people will mistake it as, oh, okay, well, I believe in Jesus and I code, but it's hard, and therefore I'm not like, I don't know if I should be part of this, or I don't know if God is blessing this, or I don't know. Like I had my fair share of code being hard for years. But like I've seen him use what seems foolish to man to bring, to be what is wisdom. So I've seen like what seems foolish to man is like, hey, I don't know where to go with this. I'm going to pray. I'm going to ask God for the next right step with this piece of code, this bug that I'm running into, and I'm going to listen for answers. And then it's like, oh, I'm going to try this. This came to mind. Wait, it worked? It worked? And it's like Holy Spirit of God who is in us it's like, who can know someone's mind unless, like, how do you say it? Who can know the mind except the Spirit? And if God's Spirit is within us, we can know the thoughts of God. And it's not being me being weird or anything. It's like God wants to commune and be with and partner with us. And when we say, God, I look to you, I can just imagine, like, when my son looks at me and is like paying attention, it's like, wow, that's so sweet. Like, I want to give you whatever you need to take care of you. And yeah, I can't imagine like even God's love is far, far greater than that. So yeah, it's a different way of doing things, but it's cool when he keeps like pulling you back to it. Cause like there'll be times where you're just discouraged, but then he pulls you back to it, and then you're discouraged and he pulls you back to it. And it's like, why am I doing this? Why do you want me to do this? And then over time, more and more, he's like, I've given you influence because you've been faithful in small, you can be faithful in large. I've given you wisdom so that you can create. I've allowed you to go through some of these hardships so that you can comfort others who are going through these hardships. I imagine like that is your story too. And God is raising up people to lead and to love and to train up Christians in tech to create things. So yeah, what seems foolish is to pick random people like you and I to teach us the ways, and maybe in some traditional ways, some untraditional ways, and then we create technology and things, and it can help people and it can inspire people to create. I hope people create, like, I hope from our lives, how we live, how we love people, it inspires someone to create something far beyond what we could have ever built, what we could have ever dreamed, what we could have ever imagined. And it sets like just such a huge precedent for like kingdom of God reigning. And this is what that looks like through technology or through what we create. So there's some things we get to see now, and there's things we probably won't get to see for a long time, but it's sweet to be part of this.
That's a beautiful response. I loved that. That was really good and completely related to everything you said. We can talk about the phone that you're working on. It would also be awesome if you could just, show us how it works and what its name is, what you're working on, and everything.
So it's called the WisePhone 2. So WisePhone, WisePhone, and it's the second version. So pretty much it's just a very simple phone. It's just Android, and then it's very pared down. So we're partnering with Samsung to do hardware, and we're building what we call a healthy smartphone. So you can go and it's free from a browser, free from social media, free from games, free from porn. It can help people be more free and more present with the people that they love. So right now we curate apps for it, and I'm testing out Faith.Tools on the WisePhone. So you can download a few faith-based apps, but people submit apps and then you can go and download them. So it's not so this is Google Play Store, but it's managed. So you can't sideload apps. You can only download apps that are there, and then the apps will appear here, and then you can do it. But there's no browser. So if I try to click a link, Hannah sent me a link, and it was Amazon. So if I try to click this Amazon, it'll say oops, this phone doesn't have a browser. And it's kind of cool. So there's a few.
That's an insane sentence to see on a phone.
Yes. So, but if you want Uber, if you want Cash App, we have Spotify, but we've did something different to Spotify where it's the images don't appear.
Wow. Okay.
So it's the images and videos don't appear because some people, I don't know what it is about the music industry, but they can get away with more explicit artwork. And to people that use our phones, sometimes it's young people, sometimes it's people recovering from porn addiction. they don't want to see that. So I found a way to block. All I'm doing is just blocking the CDN for any of the images, any of the videos, and that's it. So it's pretty simple, but it's like, how do you do it? So then I pray and I say, God, help me to figure this out. And I wait. I try something, it doesn't work. I wait. Okay, let's try this. Let's block this. And it works. So it's a fun project to work on. We're using Samsung hardware, and Faith.Tools is about to be on it soon, which is going to be so cool. You can look at it's at faith.tools/wisephone. And I could put the link in the chat just for fun. But it's great. That's what I do for my day job. And I'm the one on software. So there's the software team is one person. The designer team is one person. The product managing team is one person. That one person is me. We're a very small team.
I was expecting like 4 or 5 people.
Yeah, no, it's small. But we have we have some two and 3 now on customer support. We have our CEO who's doing like lots of partner relations and stuff. We have a guy doing marketing, and so we have like I think 7 people on the team right now. They asked me to join maybe 6 months ago, and it's been hard work, but it's been good. It's good because people battle lots of digital distraction and digital destruction. So lust of the eyes, lust of wanting things, and then just being so distracted from things that matter and feeling empty because of it.
So for me, I think it's like an Android operating system, but that's like very controlled, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Does the camera work?
Yeah, you can use a camera.
What's the goal of these? So like, are people supposed to purchase these phones, or can they install the operating system on their phones? Are there any plans to integrate AI or make this an open source project?
I did just add an AI thing that I'm testing again. So like on the homepage, there's just like a search bar, and you can just ask a question, and it will just give you an answer. So there's you can search tools, contacts, or AI. And so that's just a fun little thing you can test and just ask any question. And it'll respond concisely, and it's just to give you information in a way that's like not distracting. The goal isn't just like, don't be distracted. The goal isn't to just be limited and have all these rules. The goal is to learn how to have a different relationship with your phone. And how we're doing it right now is we're using specifically a single type of device in Samsung, and then we're selling it just like, so it's the Android OS is Android 14. It's using Samsung's One UI, but we're also using their MDM service, mobile device manager service, to lock things down a lot. And then we're adding our stuff on top of it. So it's not something we can just have someone opt into yet. The reason why someone would want this is because you can't turn it off, meaning you can't turn off the protective features. So you can, for a lot of other phones, if you opt into something, you can turn it off. But in this case, you cannot turn off the features. So if you turn on screen time on your iPhone or whatever Android phone, you can turn it off. On this phone, you can't turn it off. And it's for people who just are frustrated with their phone and they want freedom.
All right. That's pretty fascinating. I can't wait until, I get to experience it firsthand and try it all out. I wish you all the good things for that one too. I guess we're now almost at the end. But there's like a few, questions that I would like to ask you, because there's a lot that I want to learn. And I guess in your Christian journey, what has been the most difficult part of everything? I would say, I battled with this, or I'm not obedient. I have a hard time praying. Any issue that you probably had or still struggling with, but you're trying to overcome and trying to be better. And advice is related to that as well.
I can share the kind of hardest thing, and then maybe what I'm battling right now. So the hardest thing is I would say it was the health stuff. Like, I would say two things, twofold. Like, to feel it at my core and worry, am I enough? And to worry, am I like able to be loved? And for years and years and years, most of my life, like, it's sad to be on the other side of that. It's sad to that's not just, it wasn't just my reality. There's many people going through that, and many people, like, they don't make it past the other side because they take their life or something. So I wasn't suicidal or anything. I was just like, I was just sad. I was anxious. I was always anxious, and I was just always afraid. And that was very just hard. However, it was all I knew. But then that, when health issues and stuff are coming, so I have like some chronic health issues. Eventually we learned out it's a connective tissue disorder. So what that means is there's structures of my body are not as strong as they should be, and they give more than they should give. Because of that, I could have heart issues, stomach issues, organ issues, different organ issues, skin issues. Like, my skin is just like super stretchy, like everywhere, like really stretchy. And it's funny, but it's also like, it's because of an issue. And so walking through these hardships of this, and then not being able to work for like 7 months and just being so sick and nauseous, like, that was a hard time. It was a very trying time, but it was also a comforting time, because I didn't use my iPhone at the time. I just used a very simple phone. I used a light phone, which is a wonderful device. And I just took a lot of time to journal, and to, like, whenever I could, to listen, to pray, to address things that you kind of just don't want to address, I guess. And to address, like, why don't I feel like I'm enough? Why, and then I tell you, you hear the story from earlier today of, like, God just showing me, like, he doesn't create anybody by accident, and he takes care of those he loves, and who he creates, and no one is better than the next man. So things like that is what helped me find freedom, and, like, freedom beyond what I can imagine. Why I would share about it. I would always wonder, like, why are people, like, weird about Jesus, like super happy and stuff? And then it's like, well, when he saves you from deep hardship, it's easy to be happy about him. You see his kindness, you see his love, and you want other people to experience that freedom too. So then something that I'm battling right now is just, like, God has called me to build Faith.Tools and things surrounding that, and I only get to do it on the side. So I wrestle with contentment of, I enjoy my job too, but I wrestle with the contentment of, do I just keep showing up, keep working hard, and then maybe one day, or, like, will this become a full-time thing at some point that's possible, so that I can continue to serve in the way I feel called to? And so it's a wrestle of, what do you want me to do, as well as, like, God, you're good enough for today. I'll show up, I'll have fun, I'll work hard, and I'm listening for direction.
That's very, very beautiful and very insightful. One of the things I've noticed about being a Christian is, like, so for me, I also was very anxious about a lot of things, or would overthink, or overplan, or whatever. And there were issues in my life as well. There are stuff I've battled with, and looking back at me, the past me and the current me, I saw that some issues still persist. There are still, maybe even there are problems that are way worse than I had before. But the thing is, I still have joy. yeah, I could be crying, or sometimes I could be sick, or I'm struggling about this, or I'm worried about that. But at the end of the day, I have that joy and that peace of mind. And for me, that doesn't make sense. Like, completely doesn't make sense. In fact, I feel like my joy is so out of reach and on God's hands that even if I wanted to take that away, I can't do it. I don't think I can even take that joy away. And it's such a very different experience. It's a very unique thing that I found in God. And yeah, I'm very happy that you passed through that and like you saw all the beauty through it and became a better person because of it. And I'm very glad God really helped you and still helping you with that.
Oh, I see joy in you, man. I see joy, and joy is infectious. Joy is what causes people to say, like, what is going on? Why? And when you can say, like, I don't know, besides God is kind. And it's like, wow, that makes me want to, that, someone just want to follow and understand. And I think that's sweet. And I really care. I think like you're caring for developers, for Christian community where you're at, and wanting to invest in them. I just want to say like that's beautiful. It's very important, and you're doing a good work. So even in days where it seems like it's mundane, maybe, or it's like, is this even worth it? It's worth it, and it's very good of what you're doing.
Thank you. God bless you for that. I love that encouragement. All right, so one last two final questions. One of it is, what is your favorite Bible verse? And then you can follow that up with a general advice or anything related to life, Christianity, faith, work, or anything. So, an advice for me and everyone listening, just a reflection of everything. And we can wrap up with that.
A good Bible verse that I process a lot is like, I don't know if I can quote it well, but it's Proverbs 3:5-6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not on your own understanding, and in all your ways, He will make your path straight. So in that, it's like all my life I trusted in my own understanding, and my own understanding led me to anxiety. So how do I trust something that's not of my own understanding? It's like, first you have to learn this different understanding, and then you have to compare it against your own understanding and say, which one do I believe? Which one do I want? Which one do I trust? And it's so weird to like, in a world where everyone's like, your feelings matter so much, trust your feelings. And it's like, feelings can be wrong. Feelings have lied to me too many times. So don't trust in your own understanding. Like acknowledge God, like trust in Him, lean on Him. He will make a path. He will make a way. And that's been encouraging to me. God's not picking like favorites. He's not saying that you're better than me or I'm better than you or anything. And He loves. And so just to recognize like everybody has a part to play in this. Everybody's got their thing. And if somebody's doing something and you feel like, oh, I wish I could be living out God-given calling, it's like trust, don't lean on your understanding, and then like cheer somebody on. If you can cheer somebody on and what they're called to do and things, it's harder to be jealous. It's hard to be worrying about the other thing. And, yeah, God has a place. He's got a purpose for everyone. And like, we're on the same team, same dream, same mission. And so I want to see more and more people, cheering one another on, and like, yeah, like what we're doing, helping connect, resource people with the right stuff that they need so that they can grow in their faith and live God-given callings.
Awesome. That's a wonderful response. Thank you so much for that. I've never done this on a podcast, and I'm very inclined on asking you this. Would you like to close with a prayer?
Yes, I'll do it.
Awesome. Let's go.
Lord Jesus, you're in control and you're so good. Give us wisdom just to take what we need from this podcast, like anyone that's listening, like anything that you want to speak to their hearts, Lord, just lay it on them. We pray for freedom to come through the stories that we've shared. Lord, use our brokenness for good, because you've brought so much healing, so much freedom. And yeah, just pray for just more and more people in the faith to rise up and to say, I want to show my faith where I'm at. I don't want to hide it. I don't want to worry. Like, I want to just be leaning on you every day where I'm at. So just give us dreams, give us visions. Lord, you are good. We trust in you in Jesus' name. Amen.
God bless you. This was such a beautiful conversation. I learned a lot. Thank you for being on my show. Have a wonderful time.
I appreciate it so much. All right, take care.
All right. Goodbye.